Welcome back. So today we are looking at the event lineup so far for the USSR. And I think they've done pretty well this year. I've got a few other things on my lineup that aren't strictly event things. Some of them are just because I needed to fill the slots, and they were things that I was using for other stuff I wanted to mess around with in other battles, so I wouldn't have to change the lineup. But the core of the lineup is the paratroopers for the USSR from December, January, back around then. The uh, what are they called? The engineers that either came with Stalingrad or they were in I guess the spring event, late winter event around then. We have the Christmas Tree Boys, which are the assault squad from the New Year's event. We have the most recent radio operators from the Rain of Fire event. I think it was called Rain of Fire, right? Or Rocket Storm, whatever. Um, they're cool. They're not that exciting, but they're cool. And then we have the T-34 100, which I still am disappointed it didn't come with its own event squad, but it's still a pretty cool vehicle. And actually, all things put together, that's actually more slots than like a normal free-to-play player is going to have, so you kind of have to pick and choose. I think if I was picking and choosing, I would probably drop the assault squad. You can make an argument for dropping the radio operators. It's just the radio operators can call in all of the different radio call-ins, so I think they potentially offer more flexibility, more team play than like a generic assault squad. But that being said, you might want the assault squad just because most of the Soviet maps are going to be closer quartered, and being closer quartered, you're going to want more assault weapons, and they have assault rifles, so you can make an argument for them. They're not bad. All things considered, though, I think this is a pretty good lineup. You could argue that the German lineup is potentially a little bit stronger, but I don't think so personally. We'll probably look at them on a different day. I think the main factor that gives the Soviets so much power and potential with their event lineup is that they have the event paratroopers, and these are still to this day, like 6 months later, the only event paratroopers that get to replace their weapons with whatever you want, so you can flex them to any BR, and that is really nice. I appreciate that the rocket artillery boys can do the same thing. You can equip them for lower BR, and that's a perfectly viable option. I kind of wish that you could do it with some of the other squads, but it's kind of understandable why you can't. Um, I guess you can do it with the engineers as well. You could put them lower. They just lose out on most of their benefits by going lower because even though they can use assault rifles, they can't use SMGs, which is kind of a shame, but you know, for somebody who's starting out and they don't want to go through the process of upgrading engineers, they're probably a pretty good option. And admittedly, they are upgraded engineers, so they can build all the engineer emplacements. So that probably is a pretty good power booster. So what I'm getting at is, as somebody coming into Enlisted this year, if you like the Soviets, and you played all of the events, I think you've made off very well. And like that's not talking about all of the like event guns and whatnot that have come out, because there's been a few decent ones there as well that you can add on to these guys to give them some flavor. And you know, assuming that you do have some premium slots, either because you're subbed or you picked up some extra slots or whatever, it's pretty easy to take the core of this event lineup, use it to unlock most of your tree, but also you can add things onto it pretty comfortably. Like at lower BRs, the IL2, I think it's like BR2, That one performs really well. And then a little bit higher, the IL-2M is a fantastic replacement for it. As far as armor goes, once you get up high enough, obviously there's the T-34-100, but if you're not high enough, even at like low BR, the T-50 is pretty good stand-in for it, and it's pretty readily available. And then adding things onto it, I really like adding the truck or the half-track, depending on which you have, or the premium paratrooper squad. Both of those are fantastic additions to this lineup because you can take the premium paratroopers and do all the same things that the event paratroopers do. You can still swap out their weapons, they still scale up and down. Admittedly, some of their weapon pickups from the box are a little bit better, in my opinion. Especially their anti-tank weapons. They tend to be a little bit better than their free-to-play counterpart. But being able to rotate 2 squads of paratroopers, because remember, you're on a 3-squad rotation where every time you spawn the 3rd squad, the first one becomes available again. It can be very potent, especially if you're comboing them with like the gas truck from the tech tree, which also offers you a ton of versatility, or the premium half track. Like, just those 3 squads alone are very potent. But I appreciate that they've gotten a pretty strong lineup. I'm really interested to see what we end up getting for the second half of this year, since, you know, we're only about halfway through the year. And we've already, this is just for one nation, gotten, what, 5, 6 event squads? I mean, I think a lot of people sleep on the USSR these days. I think they used to be more popular than they are these days, but if you have been playing all the events and you haven't been playing the USSR, now honestly might be a good time to look at them, just because you have so many squads that are available, and so many of them can play up and down. Like, just being able to take the engineers, the paratroopers, and the radio guys, and equip them for any BR that you want to play at as a player who's brand new to the tech tree would be huge. Because they'd be squads that I could use my whole way up. I don't have to worry about upgrading their squad tree or any of their like blue perks. And that would make it. I know it's something that you're going to unlock as you play with a normal squad, but it's one of those things where if you just don't have to worry about it, you already have the power from it. It just puts you on a more even playing field with other people at your BR. Because when you come into a new nation, right, you've got to upgrade your guns, you've got to upgrade your soul. Well, you need to get guns to begin with. Then if you like those guns enough, you need to upgrade those guns. Then you need to upgrade your squads, and you need to upgrade your soldiers, and, you know, it's a lot. So having one less thing that you need to worry about upgrading just gives you that little bit more power and puts you on more even footing with the people that you're fighting against. And I think that's just a good thing. I think it's very beneficial. So if you've been collecting all of these and you haven't played the USSR lately, I definitely recommend you go out there and you mess around with them and see if it's a nation that you actually want to play around with and unlock. I think they have some extremely potent weapons at different BRs, and I think they can be a ton of fun, especially if you like the in-your-face assault gameplay. But hey, maybe you're a long-standing player of the USSR, and let me know what you think. Admittedly, on a normal Soviet lineup, I normally wouldn't run all of these event squads. I almost always run the event paratroopers. They're just the best. And a lot of the time I will run the event engineers. But the other ones I feel like I can swap out. The T-34-100 is actually really good, but I don't know, like, I have other things that are cool, like, I have the IS-2s, for example, or the IS-1, or the SU-100, which, that's actually a vehicle I really need to sit down and record some stuff for. The SU-100's actually awesome. But my point is there are other options at BR5 that, you know, make it pretty replaceable. Same with the artillery guys. Like, they're cool. Rocket artillery is neat. I just don't feel like it does anything that I couldn't already do with normal artillery. It feels kind of gimmicky to me. And you guys have heard me talk about assault squads in the past. Like, it's nice to have an assault squad that comes pre-equipped and pre-perked and pre-leveled and all that jazz. But at the same time, I like having full-sized assault squads, and I like being able to choose their guns, so they're replaceable. But those engineers, those guys I really like. Yeah, they're a little bit smaller than a normal assault squad, and yes, they don't get all the specialists, but they're equipped pretty efficiently with, you know, Fedorovs or AV 44s, or I can weapon names, AT-44s, I think. Let me check so I don't sound like a complete idiot. AS-44s. I don't know, it's all AS, AT, AV, AVT, AVS, whatever. You know what I mean. But yeah, I like that they're fairly well equipped and they can still build all the engineer things. So, they get included. Like I said, the paratroops are the best, though. Absolutely include every BR favorite squad that, probably my favorite event squad in the last, like, year or two. So let me know what you think down below. As per usual, get out there, kick ass, and take names, and win your games.
Наши силы на позиции. Слишком много потерь. Мы проиграли эту битву.